Hey, happy Easter! Yeah, so apparently today is Easter, and I didn't even know that until somebody mentioned it to me. Yeah, it's weird because usually it's in April, but now it's at the end of March. What's up, is a culture detective here investigating your favorite animes, and today I'm going to be doing an anime review on Sousou no Frieren, or Frieren Beyond the Journey's End, which is originally a manga written by Yamada Kanahito and illustrated by Abe Tsugasa. It is adapted into an anime by Madhouse, which is one of the greatest and most important anime studios of all times. And this anime is freaking 28 episodes. It's 28 episodes! Why is it so long? Um, and I managed to somehow, even though I was busy with schoolwork and life and all that stuff, I was able to binge watch the entire thing, and I just finished it like maybe half an hour ago. I watched 7 episodes earlier today, and I even had to submit a video essay tonight for school. But no, anime is more important. I also want to take this opportunity to flex my Sousou no Frieren manga, which I haven't opened because this is actually a gift for my brother. But this is really cool. Check this out. So, yeah, I finally finished watching Sousou no Frieren, and it's been the talk of the town as well. A lot of people are talking about this anime. It is making a lot of waves. There are a lot of fans, and also somehow Sousou no Frieren became the number one highest rated anime in my animated list. My anime list. Still, as of now, it is number one, and it has overthrown Full Metal Alchemist. And it's not the first time an anime has overthrown Full Metal Alchemist. Last year, Oshinoko did the exact same thing after first episode, but as expected, Oshinoko didn't stay being number one for long. However, Frieren is still at number one after all this time. It has staying power. So is it that good? Let's find out. So first of all, let's talk about the OPs and EDs. Honestly, nothing that great. So the first OP is Yusha by Yoasobi, or Yusha is like the courageous, or I guess adventurers. And it is, of course, by the most popular J-pop duo, Yoasobi, and then the ED is sang by none other than J-pop singer Millet. So they got two of the most popular singers in J-pop on this anime. And then we have the second OP, which I thought is even less impressive. It's just like a fun, summery guitar song. But I think they're not bad. I kind of like the ED. I think it's very heartfelt and everything. And the animation of the OP is really nice, but it feels very dramatic. Maybe a little bit too dramatic for the slow-paced slice of life tone the story actually has. Now I'm going to talk about the art style a little bit. It's okay. Nothing too fancy. It is nice, it is conventional, it is beautiful to look at. Simple as that. And the music of this anime is also not too bad. It is by composer Evan Call, who also did other animes like Violet Evergarden and My Happy Marriage, and it's not bad. It's basically your average folky isekai anime or fantasy anime kind of music. There's nothing that groundbreaking going on. The thing with this anime that made everyone go crazy is the story. So Sousou no Frieren is about an elf by the name of Frieren, and she lives very long. She is probably 2,000 years old, maybe even more, I don't know. She is very old, but she still looks like a child. And the story begins with her and three other people, Heiter, Himmel, and Eisen, returning to a town after they defeated the Demon King. And all four of them are very respected and revered, and they're basically legends. Flash forward to maybe 70 years later, things have changed. People have grown old, some have passed away, And Frieren is once again bored and without any purpose in life. So Frieren and Fern and Stark, they just had nothing to do with their lives, so they thought that they should just go to the north again to visit heaven, a place called Orioli, and go for a bit of a fun, lighthearted adventure. You know, they're not going up there to defeat the Demon King or anything. They're just going there as a trip, except that this trip is like 10 years long. So that's basically it. First of all, this anime, if you think this anime is action packed and full of lore and twists and turns and world building and many different villains, you're gonna be disappointed. It's not like that. It's a slice of life anime. It's really simple. The way I can describe Frieren is that it sits somewhere between the slice of life episodes of Mushoku Tensei and Mushishi. Mushoku Tensei is very accessible. It's very palatable. It's very funny and still very entertaining despite its slice of life storylines. Mushishi, on the other hand, is straight up philosophical anime. It's not meant to be entertaining, it is poetry in cinema. And Sousou no Frieren sits somewhere in between these two animes, and yeah, a lot of people are able to get into Mushoku Tensei easy peasy. Mushishi is a bit difficult to get into for your average anime enjoyer, or average anime fan, you know. And Frieren just sits right between the two, just philosophical enough to make people think and make people feel, but still entertaining and palatable enough to be entertaining and enjoyable. And we have episodes 1 to 4, which are aired back to back to back to back. And honestly, these 4 episodes are my 4 favorite episodes of the entire season. What a magnificent pilot episode. And it's just one of those pilot episodes where it immediately hooks you in, it immediately tells you the story, and it immediately proves its point and impresses its viewers. Because episode 1 is basically the end of a story. It's called Beyond the Journey's End because I guess the journey in question has ended on episode 1. Frieren and the 3 other heroes defeated the Demon King. It's ended, and life is nothing and peaceful and boring all over again. And so it's very much about the end of a journey rather than the beginning of a journey. Hey, it's kind of subversive, kind of smart. But also because of I'm going to try my best and not spoil episodes 1 to 4, but it's not too difficult to figure out what happens. But because Frieren doesn't age, or at least ages really, really slowly, this anime makes a really smart commentary on aging and mortality, and how Frieren doesn't understand the concept of, oh my god, I need to do something meaningful before I die because I don't have a long time to live. And Frieren doesn't necessarily understand that. So being in Frieren's POV, with her being the main character, we understand the concept of aging and mortality all over again. And it is really interesting and also really heartfelt and says a lot about life and humanity. And I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of a stretch, but I feel like this is in response to Japan's aging problem. But also another thing I really love about the world building is that Yamada Kanahito, the writer of the story, clearly respects the audience. They do not dump exposition in the story at all. It just lets us figure out the world by ourselves. The world building is not that complicated. There's one continent, there's a bunch of towns and cities, and it's just full of people. They're elves, they're magical, there are monsters and demons, and they're evil. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. But there are bits of history here and there are bits of lore, and it just lets us figure it out by ourselves. And I also really like how everyone has really small reactions to everything. Like, there are scenes where Frieren would return to someone, reunite with someone, and it would be 30 years since they have last seen. Normally, in real life, it would be like, oh my god, it's been 30 years since I've seen you. It's been so long. Let's give a big hug. But no, in this anime, it's like, oh, you're back. Hi. And everyone's reaction is very minimal. When they get hurt, it's like, oh, I'm hurt. When something bad happens, it's like, oh, okay. Everyone's reactions are very minimal, and that's really refreshing, given how overdramatic a lot of the reactions are in other animes. And overall, this anime cares less about world building and lore and twists and turns and magic, and cares more about the little interactions of everyday life, the little things, the mundane things that makes the world such a beautiful place. And I freaking love that. Really reminds me of Perfect Days. Such a good movie. If you haven't seen it, you really need to see it. So anyways, that's episodes 1 to 4. Absolutely amazing first 4 episodes. Then we have episodes 6 to 10, which is basically slice of life until it's not. Because even though Frieren is a slice of life fantasy, occasionally it becomes an action adventure. Because from episode 6 to 10, they run into some villains. For the first time in the anime, they run into some bad guys. And this is, or actually not the first time, but like, it's the first time where there's actually stakes, where there are actually fights. And honestly, the fights are pretty fun. They're all relatively low stakes because you already know that this isn't the kind of anime that kills off characters, unlike Attack on Titan or Jujutsu Kaisen, because it's a lovely, wholesome anime. So, all the good guys will survive and they will win. We all know that. That is presumed. But it's still a very fun fight. There's one fight between Frieren and Aura, who is one of the big demons. That's really good, because the scene, the climactic scene, shows Frieren in a very cold-blooded way. I'm not going to spoil it, but oh my god, there's a death scene, and that is the coldest fucking death scene in anime I've seen in a long time. It's just, and it's coming from Frieren? What? Also, we got the name drop. Oh my god, it's her. Sousou no Frieren. And originally, we all think, including me, Sousou no Frieren. Funeral Frieren. So Frieren always visits other people's funerals because she outlives everyone. But turns out it basically means Frieren sends people to funerals because she's that powerful. So that's really cool. And this is when I sort of realized that Frieren is so overpowered. She's one of the most powerful characters in that world. And clearly, this isn't a story about some young, aspiring fighter trying to defeat some evil, big, bad villain. It's very much not that. It's about the small things in life. And that's basically episodes 11 to 17. It's straight up pure slice of life. It's really fun, really wholesome, and it's all done with characters that I care about, and it's done with relatively mid pacing, like moderate pacing, not mid. The word mid has a different meaning nowadays, but it has moderate pacing, so it's nice. Sometimes there are fillers that are clearly fillers, and I wasn't that entertained, but it's still good. But mostly episodes 11 to 17 are pretty good. So this is kind of like Made in Abyss, but wholesome. A lot of Made in Abyss is also kind of like that, where it's just two young people surviving every day, except Made in Abyss is just endless suffering and pain and torture, whereas Frieren is young people in a fantasy world, but endless wholesomeness and happiness and joy, because life, So it's kind of like Made in Abyss, but opposite. It's like the opposite of Made in Abyss. Episode 16 in particular is really lovely because Frieren reconnects with an old friend, and again, it says a lot about memory. It says a lot about remembering the past, but also leaving the world in peace, leaving a legacy. And the second half is a very inspiring motivational story where Zine, a priest, looks for his long lost friend. Hopefully he returns in the story sometime later. Then we have episodes 18 to 28, which is the Mage Exam arc. So it's basically the tournament arc. And honestly, I don't care for the action stuff. So the exam has 3 parts. The first part is this Hunger Games esque situation where a bunch of mages are stuck in this wilderness, and they need to capture a bird and stay alive in order to pass. And of course, everyone starts killing each other. And then we have the second part of the fight where they have to raid a dungeon and reach the bottom. And the first part of the exam, not a huge fan. It's not bad, but honestly, I don't really care for the action stuff in this anime. The action stuff is not the strong suit of this story. In fact, it paled against other episodes in comparison. If you want to watch entertaining fantasy fights, there are loads of other animes that do it 100 million times better. So obviously, I'm not here for the fights. I'm here for the wholesome slice of life stuff, which we do have between the first part of the exam and the second part. Then we have the second part of the exam, which is the dungeon raid. It's a lot more entertaining. And it's still very fun. It's a very fun dungeon raid. It's pretty interesting, especially the part where they have to fight replicas when Frieren's replica is revealed and she's descending from the ceiling and boss music starts playing. Oh my god, that's when you know you've immediately lost. And then we have the third part of the exam, which is basically an interview with Zeri or Seri, which is this very powerful elf, probably the most powerful elf of the entire world. And I really love it because it's not a fight. It's a lot of talking, and that's exactly what makes this anime so good. And it just ends off on a very beautiful note. I don't know, Zeri is just a very stereotypical, super powerful, strict magician who can immediately tell how good someone is by looking at them for half a second. And that actually adds so much more stakes to the story and so much more intrigue to the story rather than just a Hunger Games-esque fight, And it's really interesting. And overall, I think the story has a lot of humanity. It has a lot of beauty. And I just really love the idea of how, magic is fun. It's not supposed to be a tool for killing. And the entire story is just about, just live and have fun and enjoy the little things because that's life. And, it's not really making a huge, bold statement or anything. It's not like a crazy, heartbreaking tearjerker. And unlike Mushishi, it's not like a philosophical meditation or anything. It is leagues away from Mushishi. Comparing Frieren to Mushishi is a really crazy comparison because Mushishi is starkly different from Frieren. But I still really enjoy Frieren. It's not that deep or philosophical. And there are some moments here and there that feel like fillers, but overall it is a very feel-good anime. It really calms you down and makes you enjoy life, and it's really nice. It's really nice. I don't think it deserves the number 1 spot, but it's got to be up there in the top 20 at least. I'm giving Frieren a light to decent 9 out of 10. Yeah. So, have you watched Frieren? Comments below, let me know. Subscribe if you want more. And thanks for watching.